Welcome to Precision Reviews, where we do unboxings, tests, news and reviews. Now let's see what is good and bad about this phone. Does it worth it to spend 400, 500, even 600 euros for this? If you really want to know, let's find out in this video. This is the review of the Realme GT. First thing first, quad quality is excellent. I heard people perfectly. The design and build quality are very good. The front and the back are made of glass, and the edges, they look like they are made from aluminum, but it's plastic. On the right side you have the power button with a yellow touch, very subtle and discreet. I like it. On the left side you have the volume buttons, the dual SIM compartment. All the buttons have a great feel. We have a mic on top, and then the USB-C, the 3.5mm jack, and the bottom speaker. The glass back is very nice. It's screaming flagship quality. I like the reflection of the light in this back glass. You can see different colors, different blues, different grays. We have three cameras: the main 64 megapixel sensor, an ultra wide one with 8 megapixel, and a macro one with 2 megapixel. The viewing angles on this screen are great, and we have the punch hole selfie camera and the front facing speaker. The Super AMOLED screen is 6.43 inches Full HD, 120 Hz and 360 touch sampling Hz, baby! The brightness is 650 nits. It's good, but not so good compared to the old Realme X2 Pro with 1000 nits. Colors are deep and vibrant, saturation is excellent, and black levels are perfect. Brightness is good enough for outdoors and indoors, and the soft mode is very good. The viewing experience in this phone is great. It's very pleasant to look at videos, and the punch hole is very discreet. Let's talk about performance, one of the key points of this flagship killer. With the Snapdragon 888 5G processor, LPDDR5 RAM, UFS 3.1 storage, the Realme GT is a powerhouse, bro. With 120 Hz screen and the touch sampling of the 360 Hz, this thing flies. When I mean flies, it literally flies. I can't even get it to lag once in time, in 2 months. But really great and really enjoyable. Let's talk about gaming now. You can play any game you want on the Realme GT. The processor can handle any games present in the Play Store. The processor is very fast, and price-wise it's a bargain. But it's limited to 60 FPS for the games. And it's a shame, because the processor can handle games that are playable more than 60 FPS. It's really a shame, because the brand do a lot of marketing about the power of the phone. There is also a gaming mode where you can tweak some settings, disable some application. It's very easy and pleasant to use. Let's have a look on the software side. The Realme GT is running on Android 11 with Realme UI 2.0 on top. Realme UI is very practical. You can have a look on a lot of your notification toggle with a gesture to the bottom, but you have to activate this gesture before. You have also two specific modes, one for the sharpness in the video and one to enhance the colors of a video. And I think the two modes are not relevant. I tested it and there is not a big difference. So I advise you to not use it. You will save some battery. It is also possible to have an app drawer. This is great. We see more and more Chinese overlays with this functionality, so it's great to see it. I think the UI is very complete, very rich in terms of options, and we are going to see that some of them are very interesting. Let's begin with the screen capture toggle. Other manufacturers are doing it, but let's be honest, it's very practical, very fast, very easy to use. Let's have a look on the customization menu, and what I can say, it's very good. You have already the goodness that brings Android 11 with some nice effects on the edges, some nice colors. I saw it with Samsung and Galaxy S7 edges a while ago. You can change the toggles. Bummer, you can't change the police of the phone. I don't know why, but it's quite a shame. And other things are quite deja vu. You can change the icon, the order, the number. All things you already see in a smartphone with Android 11. You can also do some tweaks and changes on the always-on display. You can change the appearance of the clock. You can also show a message. It's quite nice and quite useful. It's nice to have it. You can also activate the sidebar function, and it could be quite handy when you don't want to go back to the home menu and launch very quickly an app and don't want to search for it. Some gestures are integrated in Realme UI, and you can launch the camera by drawing an arrow, but I prefer the double click on the power button I have on the Pixel 5. More handy and more practical, and you don't lose time. Software updates are very good. By the time I did this review, I had the September security update a few days ago. Let's talk about photo and video quality now. The Realme GT have 3 sensors, but honestly, believe me, only 2 are useful. The main 64 megapixel sensor captures pictures in 16 megapixel. They are good in daylight, but it has a lot of difficulty to manage with strong sunlight. Maybe it's due to the lack of OIS and also the software engineering. The software processing is not on par of the top tier of the market. We can notice the same struggle on the top left corner of the picture. The quality of this main sensor is still very good, but the colors are way too saturated. It's not the case with the wide angle. Colors are less saturated in this wide angle sensor, but we have also some defects we often see with the wide angle. The distortion of an object in the right corner, the flower pot, and in the left corner, the flower pot and the bench. The red looks very saturated, and also the pinks. In this comparison with my Pixel 5, the pink of the flower with the Realme is a little washed out, next to the Pixel 5 that is really close to the reality. The colors of the leaves, of the stone floors, everything looks more saturated on the Realme. Look at the stone floor on the Realme picture, it looks yellow. It's clearly yellowish, but it's really not in reality. The Pixel 5 is here the more closer of what I can see with my human eye. Here we have another comparison in portrait mode, and what we can see is that even if you have a lot of megapixels, 64 megapixels, the portrait mode of the Realme is really good. But the sensor is smaller, is 0.8 micron next to the sensor of the Pixel 5 that have less megapixel, 12 megapixel, but a bigger sensor with 1.4 micron, and this can do the difference in some situations. Here you can obviously see that the rendering of the petals of the flower are almost perfect on the Pixel 5, and the one petal that is whole is not so great. It's kind of blurry in the Realme. Overall, the quality of the main sensor, the Sony IMX682, is very good. You can do some nice pizza portrait and nice pictures during daylights. We were at the zoo. I took some pictures of the animal descriptions. It came great. All animals, they were behind window glasses, and on animals are great, the pictures are great. I love the render of this sensor. Even with the lack of OIS, you can do something great with it. Even animals in indoors with good lights and not really strong sunlight like we saw before, you have really good quality. With night condition, it's not so great. It's good, don't get me wrong, for this price, but it's bad when you compare to flagships. So it's bad for a flagship killer, but correct. Portrait mode can be a hit and miss, but those photos are great. Wide angle is correct, not so great. But The really bad guy is here, the ultra macro mode. Colors are totally washed out, they are false. It looks like this sensor is taking bad portraits. You will do better taking portrait with the main sensor to have a macro shot than to use this useless sensor. It's really a sad thing and a bad sensor in this phone. Really bad sensor. And when you compare the Realme GT for photos at night with the main sensor, you can see the limit of the main sensor. Of course, the software engineering of Realme brings some lights with a yellowish tint. It was really bad conditions and really difficult conditions with a room with a door barely open. But you can see that the Pixel 5 did really well. You have less noise, you have a realistic photo with a real white I can see with my eye in real life. And here the photo Realme is just average. It's bad for a flagship killer. Of course, it's hard to compete with night sight technology that changes the game industry a few years ago, but it gives you an idea of the level of the phone in night mode. Now we will talk about the photo menu that is very good. You have access to the frame and also timer, and you can use the 20x zoom that is quite good. Of course it depends on the situation, but for this one it did a great job. You also have the portrait mode, of course. You have the 64 megapixel mode if you want to use all those great pixels of the main sensor, and other modes like dual view, slow motion, time lapse, ultra macro, kind of useful. In the parameters you can also change the picture format, JPEG or HEIF for high efficiency image format, and you can also change the video format if we want to take a short video. So now let's talk about video quality and deep dive in this function, but we are using more and more nowadays. So you have three choices of resolutions: 720p, 1080p or 4K, and you have two choices: 30 fps or 60 fps, and you will see that 60 fps is not just here for the show. For those who are interested, you can have a choice between two encoding formats, 264 or 265. In 1080p we already see the limits, because when I start to do some movements the image starts to be blurry and laggy. In 1080p 60 it's not the same thing. You can already see that this Sony IMX682 sensor do a great job in photos but also in videos. In 4K it's even better, and you can see that 30 fps here is more than sufficient. It's still sufficient to have a great image, a sharp image, you have good colors. This sensor does also a good job in zooming on subjects. It's at a good quality at 2x, but when you start to go further at 5x, the quality starts to fall. Video quality at 4K FPS is excellent, and at 60 is just pure happiness. To conclude, video quality is excellent. You can do great sharp videos in 1080p 60 fps and 4K 30 and 60 fps. It's good to see stereo speakers in this device. Highs are a little too much, medium are well represented, and you have a little patchy bass that is good enough. I noticed that the bottom speaker is more powerful than the one in the earpiece. Realme GT is certified Dolby Atmos and high-res audio. The quality of the sound in Dolby Atmos is great. You have access to 4 types of profile: intelligent, theater, game and music. Intelligent mode is very efficient for the most part. The audio quality of the jack 3.5mm is great. It depends on your headphones, but if you are really nitpicky with this and you want something better, it will be better with a device like a Sony Xperia 1 Mark II or an LG V60 with a DAC audio. Let's talk about the battery now. So the Realme GT have a pretty big battery. It's 4500 milliamp hour. It's pretty big for what it offers. You have 6 hours screen on time. That's pretty correct for this type of device. With my usage, it is pretty moderate, I guess. I have like 1 day and a half of battery life. I do 1 hour social media, 1 hour of YouTube, 2 hour calls, and 2 hours of videos. If you have not a heavy usage, you should be fine with 2 days of battery life. If you really want to save battery life, you can use one of the two modes provided by Realme UI, power saving mode or super power saving mode, that use only phone calls, SMS, things like that. But to conclude, the Realme GT have a pretty good battery life. The fast charging feature of this phone really is a key feature because 65 watts charging is really quick. It will change your habits, how you use your phone. It can full up to 0 to 10% in 35 minutes. Sadly, no wireless charging here. If you want it, you have to buy another device. Speaking about network, the Realme GT is compatible 3G, 4G and 5G. If you are in a country where you don't have 5G like me in France, it could be a good investment for the future. Mobile network sensitivity is excellent, is more than very good. I never had any issue with the GT. It's like my old X2 Pro. When I tested the device in my very small town with a provider that is quite bad here, I had very decent speeds, but I changed my provider. I tested the device in a bigger city and I had very decent speeds. Mobile data speeds are very good on the GT. The fingerprint scanner of the Realme GT is under the display. It's very good, it's optical, and when I'm not mistaken, it works very well, 9 times out of 10. It's a breeze. All BBK's brand have a really good fingerprint scanner, the one you find on Oppo, OnePlus and Realme. So, is the Realme GT worth your money? Let's find out. I think to begin that when you power up the device for the first time, you will find some pre-installed applications like Facebook, LinkedIn, Amazon. It's not what you expect from a flagship device. It's very disappointing and just want to point this out. But the good news is that you can install all those applications. If you're just an occasional gamer and you don't care about photo quality, the Realme GT is for you. But if you are a pro gamer in this budget, I will advise you the Nubia Red Magic 6R, and if you want really good photo quality in this budget, I will advise you the Pixel 4a or the Pixel 5 if you have 100 or more bucks. So to resume, what are the good things about the phone and the bad things about the phone? To begin with the good, we have a powerhouse, the very powerful Snapdragon 888 processor. The network sensibility and data speeds are very good. It's very important when you buy a phone to have a good network sensibility, right? You have also the fast charge at 65 watt, so you can fill up your battery to 100% in 35 minutes. You have a Super AMOLED Full HD display that is very nice, nice contrast, nice colors, with also a very good refresh rate at 120 Hz. You can only see this refresh rate in Apple products, for example, in the last iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. You have also 360 touch sampling rate that give you this better smooth experience when you scroll and when you touch the screen. That's very nice. You have also good picture quality at day with the main sensor, and also excellent video quality in 4K 30 frames per second and 4K 60 frames per second, and also 1080p 60 frames per second. That's not nothing, right? Also, the phone have an excellent build quality, flagship grade. You have also a very good audio quality, good stereo speakers, and good quality also at calls. You have also Dolby Atmos and Iris audio certification, 3.5 audio jack with a good quality, not a DAC audio quality, right, but good enough quality to enjoy your music with a good enough device. And to conclude this good part on the phone, you have good software updates, good follow-up with Android 11, and each month a security updates. That's good to know. When you buy a phone, you know you will be secure and protected with software updates each month. That's a very good follow-up from Realme. Let's talk about the bad here, the bad points. So if you have limited performance in games at 60 FPS, that's a bummer, because the Snapdragon 888 processor can handle games that runs more than 60 FPS with ease. You have also display edges, but are not flagship level. They are too narrow for my test. Like I said in the unboxing video, the phone from the front looks like a mid-range phone. It's a mid-range high-end phone. But here, you see it at first sight when you see the bezels. Also, photo quality at night is average, correct. Could be correct. If we judge from the main sensor, you have a yellowish tint, but it's still very correct. But if you judge from the wide angle, the quality is just average, and it's completely useless from the macro mode. Even in daylight, the macro mode is bad. No IP certification. You have also pre-installed apps. It's not acceptable for a flagship killer. So very few bad points here, but I need to name them. They are here. I can't ignore them. That's it for this video. Feel free to ask me questions in the comment section. I will be happy to answer it. I hope this video has been useful for you. I tried my best to do something good to your eye and something useful with a lot of useful information in it. So if you enjoy it, please give me a like and subscribe. It will give me the strength to continue. Thanks again for watching, guys. Until the next time, peace.